Okay, so earlier we were discussing about like a little bit brief description about VB scripting. Then our next topic is like uh, visual basic VB scripting basics. We'll try to see like any other programming language you go for means uh, basics you will come across like variables, constants, conditional statements, iterative statements, loops, then arrays like this. Very common in any other programming language. Concept will be same, but whereas like little bit syntactic or grammatical rules make it vary. So you have to get into VBScript for automation tool. QTP means you should be aware of like all these basics as usual in your VB scripting. Okay, so uh, in Visual Basic, so these are the different things you will come across. So data types, variables, constants. So this one we'll try to see data types. Even functions and procedures also very basic concept in any of the programming language. What do you mean by data type? You have to normally in mathematics you'll come across uh, like integers or reals or floating point numbers, something like that will come up, right? So very high level I try to say. See, by taking real time examples, let me explain. So you are working for a specific company. You as soon as you enter into the organization, they will create an employee ID and provide it to you. So that is nothing but like employee ID. How it looks like? Some digits, right? Okay. So this one, what we will call it like in mathematics front, you will call it like integer. Okay, integer. Okay. So name, your name contains like first name, last name. Okay, something like this, right? So first name some fairy letters also. So what will call it as actually string. You'll call it as like normally in our real life string, right? So exactly like that last name if you go for Jerry, okay, or Joseph, what do you call it as like string? Okay, so you will get salary. You have to get salary means TA plus DA plus HRA minus taxes or something like that will calculate, right? So how it looks like? So something like 3,500 dot 34 dollars letters also. Okay, some in this one what you will call it as normally fractions. In mathematics front you will call it as like real. Also you can consider it as like floating point, or very usual term we'll use is like fractions. Fractions 10 by 20, something like that, some dots you're getting means you'll call it as like fractions. But in our any of the programming language you take means you'll call it as like real numbers or floating point numbers. Exactly like that gender, if you go for what will call it as like gender equal to male or female. So this one what will call it as like normally only single character is containing, right? So character. Okay, character. Exactly like that if you are studying letters also. So you are studying 10th class, so you have to get it pass means each and every subject you should get at least 35% of the marks, then only you'll get pass. That means like result means pass or fail, means true or false, let us suppose. So you may come across like true or false. Sometimes these kind of values also you may get a chance to use. So these kind of values in programming language, how you define them, like boolean. Okay, so like boolean. So now the idea is very simple. You have to store your employee. Okay, so very high level I go for. This is what you will call it a like variable. This is what you will call it a like variable. This is what you will call it a like value, and this is nothing but like data type. Okay, so variable, value, and data type. Variable, value, data type. So variable is nothing but like placeholder. Variable, you are going for public bus means you will place kerchief for reservation, right? That means you are making reservation, that's it, right? Exactly like that. Within your computer's memory, you have to store any of the value. This concept already you may be aware of. Why it's not getting paint? Not paint. uh, yeah, accessories. uh, where will have paint? Any idea? Yeah, accessories, so will get actually. Yeah, okay. Let us suppose this is what your hard disk. Normally what they do is like they have to store data, means they will divide it into tracks and sectors. Tracks, they will divide into tracks. Okay, like this. Normally very high level I'm saying. Okay, so tracks into sectors, then again they will divide something like this. Okay, so then divide into tracks into sectors, something like that. Then they have to store value here, means they will place like this. Okay, so like this they will divide. So somewhere they will be storing the data into your computer's memory. That means variable you're defining means it will allocate some space in your memory. It will allocate some space in your memory. So variable is nothing but like placeholder. Okay, so that is nothing but like variable. So like any of the programming language you go for means like which type of data you have to store in this placeholder. Which type of data you have to store. So int employee id, let us assume. int employee id. If you define like this is nothing but like variable. So which type of data you are storing in this variable? Integer. Exactly like that, you have to store strings. String first name, that is first name, right? Name, first name or last name or something like that. First name or last name, something like that. This is what you have to store, means you have to define that variable as string. If you want to store single characters, so like Xander, okay, so it will help you in storing like single characters. Okay, so this is how. So normally in mathematics also we may get a chance to use, but as usual, like any of the programming language you go for, means so you may get a chance to use like this kind of variables. So you have to use variables, means before that you have to define, but it may get vary from project to project, not project to project, programming language to programming language. Exactly like that, you have to store real numbers like fractions. So real or float, salary, something like that, means in salary variable you will be able to store like fractions, something like that. So here I'm keeping in mind like somebody else maybe from non-computers background, right? How they understand in such a manner, very easy manner I'm trying to say. This is nothing but like variables. So variable is nothing but like placeholder. So once you define in this variable, depends on situation, which type of data you want to store, you can store. So that is nothing but like variable. Okay, some point of time across your program. Okay, before that, what do you mean by algorithm, flowchart, program? You will get like very three basic concepts. Algorithm, flowchart, program. Algorithm, let us suppose you have to find out sum of two numbers. You have to come up with sum of two numbers. So what you have to do, you have to come up with program. Normally you are from computer background, means you will be able to understand. But non-computer background means you cannot come up with directly program, right? What you have to do, you have to come up with like some, like how exactly you have to calculate those sum of two numbers, some process. What is the high level approach you will come up with? Normally if you think about like sum of two numbers you have to come up with, means what you have to do, you think about like computer, you leave about like computers calculator. So sum of two numbers you have to calculate, means you have to pass two numbers. That means like first step, read two numbers. What is second step? Calculate sum. Calculate sum equal to like sum equal to number 1 plus number 2. Then third step, print or display. Print or display sum. So exactly like that, for your computer also you have to pass two numbers. Those two numbers you have to calculate, then you have to display in your monitor. This is nothing but like step by step process. Algorithm, how you can define it, like if you go starting days of your computers, even I don't remember exactly, like step by step procedure to come up with program for a specific problem or for a specific program, you can say. Okay, that is nothing but like algorithm. So this is how you can come up with. First you have to come up with algorithm, then flowchart. Pictorial representation of an algorithm is nothing but like flowchart. Okay, you have to read means squares you will use, calculate means again you will use square, display means even you will use squares. If it is condition, means you will use uh what do you say that one? This is a kind of symbol you will use, right? Square is like 90 degrees or 45 degrees if you turn. How it will look like? What do you call that symbol? Something I don't remember exactly. If you turn this symbol like a square 45 degrees, how it looks like. So if that is the like condition kind of stuff, you will go for that. Is like that, so many symbols you'll be using. So all these statements will come up in the form of like symbols. So pictorial representation of an algorithm, you'll consider it as like flow chart. Then you have to come up with program. Means how you'll come up with program is like you have to define, you have to read two numbers. So you have to read two numbers means you have to define first, like you want to pass integers. So number one, number two. Then you have to read, right? So for reading data during execution in your VB scripting, you will use input box. You will use input box. Okay, so enter number one. Number one equal to. Okay, so number 2, enter number 2. Then sum equal to number 1 plus number 2. Then message box, the sum of two numbers is, okay, sum. So once you run, okay, so this is syntactic role. Normally you can use only one at a time. Comma separator you should allow. I'm not sure why it's not allowing. Okay, number 1 I'm giving 10. Number 2 I'm giving 29. Okay, why surprisingly is giving 10, 29? Remember, whenever you pass any of the value through input box, it will read it as string. So plus means it will concatenate those two. That is the reason. So if you are using int box means you have to convert it into integer. So how you can convert is like with the help of cint, convert it into integer. Okay, so now what will happen using 10, 20. Okay, that is displaying, right? Remember, if you are using input box means passing integers or numbers, you have to convert it into integers. So how you can like that, string to integer, integer to string, something like that. Some conversion functions are available in your VB script. Another important thing is like if you are not aware of any function syntax or how to use in your QTP or VB scripting, so QTP come up with very good help document. You don't want to use any of the tutor or somebody for learning your QTP. If you have patience, you can see it in front of the computer. You can go help document step by step, and you can learn very well. You know, initially how I learn now. Actually, when I was trying for job around 2003, something like that, QTP was not the good tool. Windrunner. So even those days, nobody is saying like Windrunner. Very less people using it even in your IT industry are not providing training. So at that time, how I learn, with the help of this help document like Windrunner. So windrunner also don't have that much user friendly help manual, but qtp really they come up with very good help document. If you have patience means nobody require really. You sit in front of the computer, you go help document, and you can learn very well. Okay, so tomorrow if you are coming new function or new stuff, you don't want to worry really. You can go for help document, you can get and learn very easily. Okay, so this is how you can come up with programming in your VB scripting. So program is nothing but like set of instructions. So set of instructions, this is nothing but like set of instructions, right? So that is nothing but like program. Okay, so like any of the programming language you go for means, so this is nothing but like a data type, this is nothing but like a variable. So while running you may get some values, this is nothing but like values. Okay, so any of the programming language you go for, these are the simple stuff you will come up with. And normally most of the programming languages you will come up with different data types like integer, real, float, char, even another data type you will come up with date. Your age or date of birth you have to store. Your date of birth, how you will store? That is date data type. Like that, so many data types you will come up with. But in VB script, only one data type you will come up with, that is nothing but variant. It's very easy in your VB script. So only in of the programming language, as I said, if you come up with, there are so many data types you will come up with, like integer, float, character, something like that. But here in your VB script, only one data type you will come up with, that is nothing but like variant, holds different kinds of information. So if you are passing integer, it will consider it as a integer variable. You are passing strings, it will consider it as a VB script will treat it as a string variable. So that much kind of flexibility you are having in your VB script. So default data type for functions you may be using, right? So for each and every function, so default data type is variant. It holds different subtypes like empty, boolean, integer, long. Long is nothing but like floating point. Okay, real numbers. For storing real numbers, you will use it as like long. Single byte, double, data type, date time is for storing date and time. So string, object, error. Okay, these are the subtypes you will come up with. So this is what really you don't want to be aware of. If you want to get to know, you can go and learn. So what is the difference between like empty and null? Empty means once you define any other variable, that placeholder will still be available in your memory location, holds empty value, doesn't store any value. It's like blank, that is nothing but like empty. But null means that space itself will get deallocated, that space itself will get deleted, that is nothing but like null. Boolean means you are aware of like true or false, byte, integer, currency. You want to store like a currency format, even currency data type also available in your VB script. Okay, so placeholder, any of the programming language you go for means you will come across two types of variables. What are those? Scalar variables and array variables. What do you mean by scalar and what do you mean by array variables? Scalar variables holds single values. Array variables holds multiple values of single data type. In this class, whole students employee IDs I have to store. How I go for? In the form of array I can go for. Okay, so each and every students independently have to store. I can go for scalar variable. Okay, so Like any of the programming language, you go for means you have to give name for variables, right? So here qtp, if I go for, I'm giving number 1, number 2. What are the rules and regulations for giving, for naming these variables? Okay, so may contain alphabets and digits. Okay, number no1 I have given, those are alphabets plus digits I have given. And remember another important thing, it doesn't mean like variable name never start with special character or number. Okay, it should start with alphabet. Some programming any of the programming language you go for means you should be having some like keywords. If you take here int, means it was defined for specific purpose in that programming language. So again, if you define variable with that, okay, int, some int, if you give it, you cannot define, it will give you error. Okay, so that means like uh, keywords are reserved words you cannot use for variables. That is another important thing you have to remember. Okay, so may not contain special characters, spaces also you cannot give. Okay, should not use keywords, and maximum length will be like 255 characters. Okay, so that is how you have to give name for any of the variable means you should follow. These are the rules. And another important thing is like I told, in your VB script you will get only one data type, that is nothing but like variant, right? So how you can define it as like okay, so dim, only one data type you will come across in your VB script, that is nothing but like dim. Dim x, if you give any type of data you can store in that variable. So x equal to 20, if you store like that, your qtp will treat it as integer variable. X equal to so you may be aware of like strings, how you will pass within double quotes. Joseph. Okay, if you pass like this, qtp will consider it as like a string variable. So x equal to some okay, single character you are passing, then it will treat it as like a character. X equal to like date you are passing, 29/03/2013. VB script will treat it as like date. So only one common data type you will come across in your VB script, that is nothing but like a dim. Once you define any of the variable with dim, any type of data you can store like integer, character, date, or even boolean also you may store. Like which are the data types available in your VB scheme? All those one like true or false. Even boolean values like that you can store. That is the advantage of like your VB script. And another advantage is like variable declaration is optional in your VB script. You don't want to declare, okay, you don't want to declare some x equal to 20 message box x, you can use directly here. If you remember like I have to declare that variable. I haven't declared, right? See, I'm using that variable directly. But if you go for like C or C++, this is this keyword is wrong. If you go for C or C++, what you have to do is like before using any of the variable you have to declare, okay, but in VB script that is optional. But in VB script that is optional. Okay, so that is another advantage you will come across in your VB script. But see here I'm using like username. Username, something I'm giving like uh, Rama. So but okay, so this is the thing. Okay, why? You see the difference? What's wrong here? Username I have assigned Rama, but here is displaying blank. What happened actually really here? Spelling mistake. Instead of username while typing, it was misplaced. So according to you, these two are single variables, but with respect to VB script, these two are different variables. You may come across these kind of problems, right? So to overcome these problems, what you can do is like, if you make variable declaration mandatory, then you don't come across these kind of situations, right? So that means like even you will have option of like making variable declaration mandatory. So how you can make variable declaration mandatory is like option explicit. Option explicit. Once you give this keyword at the starting position of any of the program, if you don't define any of the variable, it will give you like variable was not defined. See, variable name is undefined. Like that, it will give you error. So then what you have to do is like you have to define your variable. So now what is the advantage of this one? Like this, any spelling mistakes or something like that, it will give you like some this variable is not defined. So then you will think about like, oh, according to my perspective, I have given like username, but spelling mistake has happened. So I will go ahead and change it. This is the advantage of like making variable declaration mandatory. Even that feature also, but normally while implementing framework, we'll make it as like option explicit keyword we'll use mostly. Option explicit we use mostly in our framework implementation or any of the program, to avoid these kind of confusions, these kind of mismatches. Okay, so this is nothing but like very high level basics about like your VB scripting. So remaining one we'll try to see like in our tomorrow's session. Okay, so you have any questions means you can ask me tomorrow. It's already late, so what would you like, we'll end up our session. Okay, thanks for your time. Okay, see you. Bye bye. Tomorrow same time.